Thanks for the support as a channel member, Ethic in my hair. Boys and girls, these injuries we had at the start of the season have really left us in quite the pickle. We're away against Arsenal today, and if we lose, we'll be 13 points behind them before we've even hit the halfway point of the season. And our whole plan to win the league this year might be in peril at that point. Hello and welcome to Club 4, part 34 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we're away against Benfica in the Champions League. Benfica in the Champions League, and also away against Arsenal in the Premier League. Since you last with me, as you can see, we've had a pretty miserable time. Back-to-back defeats against Liverpool, one in the Premier League, one in the EFL Cup. We then drew against Birmingham and Basel, managed to beat Bournemouth, but drew again with Southampton, but managed to pick up the win against Monaco in the Champions League, which has secured our knockout round spots, or at least we've not managed to bottle that. A couple of good results in the Premier League against Reading and Newcastle, but then a really poor one against Everton. And who wants to guess who scored for Everton? Of course he did. Of course he did. And he celebrated as well. He is never coming back. I've had it with that boy. So this is what the Premier League looks like. It doesn't make for particularly nice viewing in a year when we were supposed to win the league. We're 10 points behind Arsenal. We're 10 points behind Arsenal, 12 points behind Manchester United. We don't seem to have a free-scoring goal scorer this year, which is a little bit of a problem. Vermonti was injured for a while. Carlos was injured for a while. Vargas got injured as well, so we ended up having to play Van Houston as our defensive midfielder, which really wasn't a good plan. Sessegnon's got a grumpy on because he's not been playing very much. It's all falling apart. But in other news, we have now got a new owner. There were 3 different potential owners in for us. One of them was a tycoon, and somehow the tycoon didn't get the job. I was thinking I was going to get £500 million to spend in January, but as it is, it's just a normal chap has come in and changed nothing. None of the money has changed. We've still got the same balance, the same budgets and things we had before. None of the debts have been cleared. Literally nothing has changed. I don't really see the point in changing ownership, but we have. So Daniel Levy is no more. I'm sure all Spurs will miss him forever. We've got a new man in charge, and we're looking ahead to January because we do have a whole load of money to spend, both in terms of transfer budget and wage budget. And I mean, the problem is, I look at that squad and think I don't know how to improve it. I think that squad's perfect. I would take that squad any day of the week. Maybe a goalkeeper, but we haven't been able to find one. Rosso is doing a bit of a Mick Powell out on loan at Betis, so maybe we bring him back. He's turning into a superstar. But, yeah, I don't know. What would you buy? Looking back, another defensive midfielder would have been handy so that we didn't... But then who could anticipate them both being injured at the same time? I'm not sure. So this is the team for the Benfica game. We've got Francisco in goal, a back four of Philippe, Rodriguez, Banfalvi and Jair, Vargas at the base of midfield, João Victor and Carter ahead of him, Rott behind George and Carlos up front. I imagine there probably is an argument that we maybe don't need such a strong team for this game, actually. Now I'm thinking about it, with Arsenal coming up in just a couple of days' time, we've already got the Group 1. Bear with me, boys and girls. We actually might switch this up. Last night's Kev. We're not going with what you want. One moment. Right, I've not changed loads because we don't want to mess up the momentum and risk losing the game. Away against Benfica is always going to be a tough game. But we have now got King in goal, a back four of Philippe, Rodriguez, Banfalvi and Kawamata. Vermonti at the base of the midfield, Fotheringham and Vargas ahead of him. Gibbs White coming in behind George, and now Francis Vance comes in up front, where he has been making a number of cameo appearances and starting to look like a really rather splendid centre forward. Vargas taking the captain's armband for the day, and I have big hopes for Vance's first start in the Premier League. I think he's going to be a star. He's played his first couple of games for England, and I'm not the England manager anymore, so it's not just me who thinks he's great. He's scored twice in his second game for England as well. So currently sitting on 2 goals from 2 caps for England, which at age 20, that's not a bad record to have. The last young England striker who exploded onto the scene with that kind of goal record at that age was a young man known as Keith Crown, who currently sits on 40 goals from 50 caps. Bearing in mind, a lot of them have been as a winger because he was converted when he went to Manchester United. Philippe trying to get into a crossing position. Wins the ball back and does well to get the crossover, and George is there, and George should have done a little bit better there. It was excellent work from Philippe on the left-hand side to get the cross in, and I was convinced George was scoring. Gibbs-White now with the corner, and it ends up back with Gibbs-White, who's going to look to cross the ball again, looking for Vance, can't quite find him, and it falls to Vermonti, who plays it all the way back to Kawamata, and the move just kind of peters out. But we've started very brightly here. As it stands, Benfica actually going to finish second in the group ahead of Monaco, which I think that's huge. If Monaco get knocked out at the group stage, that's quite the scalp for us and Benfica. I'm almost tempted to let Benfica win, just so that we knock Monaco out. Philippe plays it across to Gibbs-White. Vermonti now. All the way across to Vargas, Gibbs-White, Vargas, Fotheringham. Look at how beautifully we're knocking the ball around. Kawamata now in a crossing position, finds George. And this time, George doesn't miss. It's so important to have a backup striker who scores goals as consistently as George does. And there's his 5th goal of the season. And he's making it very hard to not keep him around. As much as I think logic says it's probably time to move him on, especially with Vance looking as good as he is, Rosso doing things in La Liga and ready to come back, and obviously Harry Kane being back at the club as well. We probably don't need 6 top-level strikers, but George just keeps on scoring, and that is some poor defending and an immediate reply. King, I don't think we can blame him too much for that. Maybe would have been nice to see him step in and try and intercept the cross, because it was pretty close to him as it came over, but it was effectively an open goal we've left Benfica with here. So let's just have a little look at it. Kawamata's beaten far too easily at fullback. It's a really, really good cross. And I think that's Philippe on the far post, who he's got to be heading that clear, or at least King needs to be keeping an eye on what's going on. Between the two of them, we've contrived to concede a goal that we really probably shouldn't have done. We go into half-time at 1-1. Vance has picked up a little bit of a knock, apparently, although it doesn't seem to be majorly affecting him. I think it's probably safer as a precaution to take him off. We've been the better team here. Keep doing what you're doing. All that usual stuff. Let's take Vance off. Fernando can come on for him. We just don't want to risk him picking up a proper injury. I know he's our 4th choice striker, so it's not the end of the world, but he's also a young wonder kid who needs game time to get better. So let's make sure he's fit to play another day as soon as possible. We're going to ask for a little bit of creativity for the remainder of this second half. We've inspired everybody with my demands for creativity. I am an inspirational man. I get told that all the time. Fotheringham's going to come off for Carter in central midfield, and we're just keeping an eye on fitness levels, really. Of the players who are likely to face Arsenal, Vermonti is probably the one who we could do with taking off. George is tiring too, but we're probably going to go with Fernando and Carlos for the Arsenal game. So I think we'll just take off Vermonti, and we can drop Vargas back to the base of the midfield, switch those two over, and certainly our normal midfield 3, not including Gibbs-White as the attacking midfielder, but that as a midfield 3 is pretty much our first choice. So I guess Vermonti would argue he's part of the first choice as well. He's just trying to get match fitness back, but he was our star man last year. How can my first choice midfield not include him? And he's got a good point. But we've got Nick Carter now, and Carter has been one of the bright points of this season so far. He's settled in very nicely to life at Tottenham. King collects from a pretty weak effort from Benfica, and we try and get something going again. Philippe playing it forward to Gravenberch, who has so much space to run into. He's just going to have a shot, isn't he? And it's just wide of the post, but very good, positive attacking play from Gravenberch there. And as we approach the full-time whistle, it looks like, a 1-1 draw, I'm comfortable with that. It does get Benfica through ahead of Monaco. We top the group. They finish second. Monaco are out of the Champions League. The one thing I'm worried about is maybe it's going to have a little bit of an impact on momentum, which we are struggling to get going at the moment. We are very inconsistent, as you can see from that run of like the last 6 or 7 games. And we need some consistency against Arsenal. Right, a whole load of changes for the Arsenal game then. We have switched to our more defensive version of the system, and we have got Harry Kane on the bench, partly because Vance is injured. He's going to be out for a week with a hamstring strain, but also partly because if he was ever going to re-announce himself at Spurs, it would be against Arsenal, wouldn't it? He's not been great since he's been back. Although, to be fair, he's played in one game and missed a penalty, and that's why his rating is so low. So he needs another opportunity. He's probably not going to get it today because George is in good form. But we'll see, eh? Francisco's in goal. A back four of Sessegnon, Rodriguez, Banfalvi and Jair. Vargas at the base of the midfield. Gravenberch and Carter ahead of him. Rott in behind Carlos and Fernando up front. Let's get into the game. And remember, this isn't even one of those games we'd like to avoid losing. This is a must-win game, even this early in the season, because if Arsenal win this, I just don't see that there's any way of us catching them. They're so far ahead, and Man United are even further ahead of them, but we're handing such a big advantage to the two big uns, Man United and Arsenal, if we don't start beating them and closing this gap sooner rather than later. So even a draw, I would suggest. I mean, it's so early to say we're out of the title race, but even a draw, to a 10-point deficit at the halfway point of the season is an awful lot to make up. 7 points, on the other hand, if we beat Arsenal here, that's doable. And then, of course, we've just got to find a way to chase down Manchester United as well. Banfalvi, in fact, it was Francisco playing it forward to Banfalvi. Jair now playing it into Carter. Jair's been quiet all season, by the way. He's not done as many Jair things. I hope he's not getting older and becoming all sensible. Look at him. He's doing some Jair things just to prove me wrong. Very nearly tucking inside and on his weak foot trying to curl it past. Was that Courtois in goal for Arsenal? We really need a goalkeeper of the calibre of the ones that all these other clubs have got. I think that might be the area we really need to focus on addressing in January. Francisco is okay, but he is the weak link of the squad. If we look at the star rating, he's the only 3-star player we've got. Everyone else is 4, 4.5, even 5-star players. And Francisco is good, but we could probably do better. And that might be what we need to focus on. We've got £78 million to spend. Let's go and try and buy the best goalkeeper, or the best young goalkeeper in the world. We're not getting the best goalkeeper in the world because he'd cost more than that. And I don't even know who that would be. I'd have to do my research. You'd think I'd have already done that, but I'm restricted by what my scouts find me. And as we've already seen by the guy who went to Man United in the summer, my scouts find me nothing when it comes to goalkeepers. It's like they don't exist. Right, 0-0 at half-time, into the second half. We've had a decent amount of possession and created a few chances, but Arsenal have had their 2 clear-cut chances and will feel a little bit hard done by that they're not ahead in the game. So I think we, because it's must-win, we might have to switch to the more attacking system at some point. Although Rott has got some space here, finds Fernando, who beats his man. Fernando is in, Fernando shoots, and it's straight at Courtois in goal for Arsenal. Because, again, if you have a top-quality keeper, then you're part of the way there. Gravenberch with the corner. Can't beat the first man. We've got to do better at the simple things like that. We should be beating the first defender at corners. Rott does very well to come back and make that challenge. He's growing into this attacking midfielder role this season. I still don't know if it's going to be permanently his, because I've always got my eye out for another. But at the moment, Rott is doing a decent job of making that position his own. Carlos now on the break. We've got Fernando ahead of him. Rott is in the middle. And it looks like Gravenberch is in the middle as well. I don't really know what Carlos was doing, but because it was so random and unexpected, it worked. I think he had a shot, and it then kind of, Courtois saved it as it was hitting the post, which took Courtois out of the occasion. And then Fernando had about 3 minutes to decide to put this in the back of the net. It just an open goal for an age. And we're 1-0 up after 55 minutes. And this could be the turning point of our season if we can hold on to this scoreline as it is right now. This would be massive. 70 minutes on the clock. Who's tiring? That's what we're really looking at. Gravenberch is getting tired. We're going to bring Vermonti on for him. And we're going to swap that midfield around. In fact, Vargas can play the more attacking of the two in there. Carter is going to come off for João Victor as well. And just freshen up that midfield. Make sure we've got lots of energy in central midfield. Vermonti, we know how good he is and how good he can be in situations like this, just to calm things down nicely for us. We're going to make a final change. I'm really, really tempted to bring Harry Kane on, because I think this is a time to have him on the pitch. Bring him on for Rott, playing as the attacking midfielder. I think it's the right thing to do. Harry Kane coming on to play an attacking midfield, just to be on the pitch for a game like this. I think his experience and love of Spurs should help us through to the finish line. Vermonti finds Kane. Kane sprays it out wide to Jair. Now would be a time for some Jair things, but João Victor plays it back to Jair, but it's intercepted, and now Arsenal have got the chance for a counter-attack, and it's 2-on-2, and they've beaten one of our two, which isn't ideal. He must be offside. He must have been offside. How are we not? Ah. We've been caught attacking. I don't understand how he's not offside there. This is the guy who scores. It's him. Sessegnon. My other substitute option was to bring Philippe on for Sessegnon. I left Sessegnon on the pitch. And once again, we've been caught out by playing a winger at left back. He doesn't know how to play the offside trap, the silly goose. Now, I'm thinking perhaps Harry Kane isn't the man to have on the pitch because he's not going to have the oomph to get us over the final 7 minutes of this game, and Arsenal are attacking and we are all over the place, and they've now hit our post. We need to sort our lives out. Show some passion, you numbskulls. Right, Jair with the throw. Terrible throw in from Jair, but João Victor wins it back for Monty now. We need his cool head. Plays it out to Sessegnon. Sessegnon needs to redeem himself a little bit here for playing them onside for the goal. Vermonti back to Vargas, and Vermonti again, and Vargas, and then Vermonti. They're just going to knock it back and forth between the two of them. Rodriguez plays it forward to Vargas. I know we're playing a cautious system, but there's 5 minutes left and we'd like a winner. Francisco plays it forward to Sessegnon, who has got a little bit of space to look up into and run, but instead does the safe thing, which again, it's what I'm telling him to do. I'm in two minds about what the right thing to do is. Lovely pass from Harry Kane. He's a midfielder. He was a midfielder all along. Jair with the cross. If I thought it was going to fall to Kane on the edge of the area. If we want a penalty. Have we won a penalty? Have we won a penalty? We've got a penalty, and it's Harry Kane against Arsenal in the 88th minute. This could be his first goal since his return, and Harry Kane is a Tottenham goal scorer again. It's his first goal for Spurs in over 2 years. He's spent those 2 years in La Liga, winning the league back-to-back with Atletico. He's returned to Spurs at 36 years old, and his first Premier League game back is away at Arsenal, and he may have just scored the winning goal. Please don't mess this story up now by being idiots, because I'm feeling the romance right now. This is what we brought Harry Kane back to do. But they're in, and we've given away a penalty, and it's Ryan Sessegnon again, and he's never going to play for Spurs again. He's given them both goals here, for goodness sake. We should have played Philippe. Francisco, show me why I don't want to buy another goalkeeper. Come on, sir. Sir, come on, sir. Please save the penalty, sir. I don't want to look. Oh, it's 2-2. The romance is dead. Can this game just not let me tell a nice story? Because we were set up beautifully with the Harry Kane return arc there. Maybe he'll score another one in the last minute of the game, but it doesn't seem very likely. And like I said before, I just don't think a draw's enough. A win puts us properly back in that title race. A draw, we have got a mountain to climb in the second half of this season. And to make things worse, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's trying to sign Banfalvi for Man City. And if we're not in a title race, he'll probably go. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.